We do have one other thing.
Oh.
The thing that you sent me.
Oh.
About, you know.
Oh, yeah.
you want to talk about Joe Rogan of the lefting?
Yeah.
Like, this is okay. I'm going to preface this with, I agree that we need a Joe Rogan on the left. I agree with that. I think that is a wonderful statement. I wish that we didn't live in a world where Gavin Newsom was attempting it. In fact, actually, before we get to that, do I have that up here? I think I do. Where is it? Here we go. Here we are. I do want to play this real quick because before we get to Joe Rogan of the lefting, we need to talk about the guy who's been trying to Joe Rogan of the left recently. Let's see how Gavin Newsom is talking about everybody's favorite topic that nobody has gotten tired of at all, ever.
I think post-George Floyd, post-COVID, we kind of came out, and there was obviously this rights movement post-George Floyd, which you got to understand, I mean, on the basis of what occurred and all the social unrest. And there was a natural inclination then to try to course correct, but it was across the spectrum of issues, including increasingly on the issues of how we talk, communicate, how politically correct and sensitive people started becoming, use of language, pronouns, and then issues.
Use of pronouns. We shouldn't have been using pronouns.
Yeah, look, pronouns are woke. You should only refer to people by proper names.
You should only refer to people by adjectives.
Also,
you fucking.
I like that the premise is that, like, prior to this, people weren't upset when, like, they were misgendered. People weren't upset when you called them, like, the wrong types of things. Like, I'm pretty sure people have been upset about that for a while. It was just nice to, for a brief window of time, have actual, like, courtesy towards people who weren't, cis straight white dudes.
Yeah.
Around the trans community and this notion of gender affirming care for children. That's tough, man. And the science on that, I haven't dove that deep into it, but
he hasn't dove that deep into the science, but he's certainly got an opinion already, I'm sure.
I'm just a gigantic dipshit and don't know what I'm talking about, but it seems bad. Like, I don't know. That's such a stupid way to look at the world. Like, well, the science is saying that gender affirming care is good, but I haven't really looked into it, so I'm pretty sure it's bad.
What if it's like
bad, a hell of a
take? Like, the take is literally just anti-intellectualism.
Mm-hmm.
It's agreeing with your hip firing more than anything else. Just accepting what might come out of your brainwaves instead of digging into the science. What does the science say on gender affirming care? Well, generally it says that people have better mental health results when they're given gender affirming care. Oh, BT dubs. Gender affirming care includes things like hair transplants for men. Like the ones Elon Musk had. But okay.
Yeah, like, I don't know. I think it's generally good when we embrace medical approaches that decrease the suicidality of youth by, like, 14 times to bring it down to the level of other comparable children their age. I think that's generally a good thing, actually. I'm pro, I'm in favor of policies and positions and medicine and medical approaches that make children more likely to survive until adulthood. I'm in favor of those. And apparently that's a controversial stance for Gavin Newsom.
I like the thing that makes more people survive.
Yeah.
I don't like the thing that makes more people die.
Yeah.
There. I did it. I've solved all politics.
I like alive kids.
But not as much as Matt Walsh does after arguing about their age of consent.
Hey!
I read one report, and then there's one that's slightly contradictory, and then they said there's no contradictory. Here's what the UK just came out with.
Are you talking about the Cass report? Because I can only think of one trans report that came out of the UK that you would be talking about.
Yeah, what I'm sure he's talking about is that, like, he's talking about the Cass report and whatever bullshit report the Trump administration put out there.
full of shit. It's absolutely scientifically sound that it's outrageous, and so it's intense. And then I meet with families, literally meet with families, save my child's life, and they're thriving.
It's just, you can't serve the country until you're 18. You can't buy a gun.
I love, by the way, that like he's like, yeah, on the one hand, I have all these reports, and on the other hand, I meet a bunch of people, and they have alive kids, and I just don't know which side to come down on. On the one side, we have alive kids, and on the other side, we have, unalive kids, and I just, unfortunately, we can't have half alive kids.
Also, then we get this guy who's going, you can't serve the country, you can't drink alcohol until you do these things. Right, but I don't think you understand, transitioning is not the same thing as going into the military. It's not the same thing as getting a fucking tattoo. It's not any of those things. It is just, it's something that we have a lot of research on, and that research shows that you're not transitioning the fucking children. That's not what happens when we do the gender affirming care thing for kids. What happens when we do the gender affirming care thing for kids is, depending on their age, it depends. If they're really young, then the gender affirming care is the little boy that might be a girl got a dress for Christmas.
Yeah.
That's the gender affirming care. And then the psychiatrist is going to sit back and just kind of see how that plays out. That's literally what happens.
Also,
that's all it is.
Who is this guy? I don't recognize this show.
So it's Gavin Newsom's podcast, and he's talking to Sean Ryan.
I have no idea who this is. Okay.
Neither do I. I know Newsom.
Yeah.
All until you're 21, and to make that big of a decision as a kid.
So it's, again, we're going to talk about what that decision looks like real quick. And Jack, correct me if I'm wrong on any of this. The decision is, are you 1 through 10? Okay. Then we might give you different clothes, maybe even let you experiment with a different name. Have you begun puberty? Very important. Have you begun puberty? If so, puberty blockers get assigned. Puberty blockers, as of right now, do not get assigned until the first signs of puberty have already started. That is what the medical text says to do.
And I'm just gonna interject, because it's also in order to do the puberty blockers, there is a need for demonstrating consistency in gender identity. So it's not like you go into the doctor and they're just like, oh, I'm your gender practitioner. Your gender
practitioner.
General practitioner. You came in here with a sore throat. Well, can I interest you in some puberty blockers? No. What happens is parents come in with their child.
Dial about it.
Parents come in with their child. I got it in my head. The GP, we'll say, refers them to a specialist. The specialist then is like, okay, well, how long has this been going on? And if it's a fairly recent phenomenon, they might say, come back in 3 months. We'll meet again, see how we're doing. And if there's a demonstrated consistency, then they put them on the puberty blockers, which are also prescribed to cisgender children. Trans and cis kids both get puberty blockers because they're reversible. You just stop taking them.
We give puberty blockers during early onset puberty. We give puberty blockers if a little girl develops breast cancer early, because it turns out the thing that the cancer lives off of with breast cancer is the actual breast tissue, which does not grow unless estrogen is telling them to grow. That's what we developed them for, kids with cancer.
Mm-hmm.
It turns out that these super scary things aren't actually that scary at all in any meaningful way. It's as if poverty itself isn't the USA's fault. That's a different conversation, I guess.
But also the puberty blockers are just there to buy more time for the kid and their family to think about this decision, because it's a pretty big decision to make. You want plenty of time to consider, the implications of that. And you can be on puberty blockers for, age 12 to like 15. Like, and that's
Longer
fine.
than that, it's up to 5 years.
Yeah.
The safety window for puberty blockers is generally considered up to 5 years, which means you can take somebody from 13 all the way to adulthood.
Yep.
And at that point, they can make a decision. Like, you can say, oh, well, we don't let them do all these things till 18. Fine. Why don't we use... Let's stick with one example then. Driving. I am allowed at age of 16 to get in a steel death machine and risk everybody else's life on the road and my own, rocketing a vehicle just through the streets. That is a thing I can legally do. I have to pass an aptitude test, which, by the way, if you were transitioning, you also have to pass a test. It's not an aptitude test, but we have to do things like demonstrate that you've been living as that gender for a certain amount of time. So if all the same mechanics are here, if it quacks like a fucking duck, I'm just going to assume that a duck is in the room.
Yep. And then, like, you're giving kids more time with the puberty blockers to think about their decision. And also, like, there still needs to be that consistent demonstration of, like, identification. And then, like, then you can start puberty blockers, or you can start, not puberty blockers, HRT. And then you just go through the one puberty, because that's a bit easier on your body than going through two.
Mm-hmm.
And easier on your mind.
Puberty. There are certain things with that puberty that are irreversible, like the way that the vocal cords end up shaping themselves. That is an irreversible thing that if it turns out that your gender is actually girl, it would probably be infinitely better if you had preemptively taken care of that.
Well, and
wouldn't have been much of a problem.
And it's also traumatic to undergo, especially like knowing this isn't what you want, and you have the option to not go through that. Like it's a very traumatic thing to go through the wrong puberty, which is why doctors don't want kids that are actually cis going through the wrong puberty, and they don't want kids that are actually trans to go through the wrong puberty. So, like, that's what the puberty blockers are there for.
Zara and Joy says the body horror of watching yourself mutate into something you hate. Yeah, it's a terrifying concept. It's a concept that I personally never had to struggle with because I'm cis, but it's a concept that I can 100% get behind, not wanting people I care about to, have needed to have gone through.
Yep.
There's no world in which you should have to hope that on someone when there are better options. But here's the thing. This video, I already know what this video is about before we get in. Apologies. I've broken the streamer code because I read the description of
Pre-watcher.
This beforehand.
Oh, wait, you only read the description? Okay.
I only read the description. I didn't actually watch it. So I've kind of broken the streamer code. Not entirely. But
okay. I forgive you.
There is I know this is going to turn into a conversation about trans sports, so I'm going to preemptively say, if you don't like trans women in sports with cis women because of biological advantages that, yes, they will have, we have evidence of this, we have data of this. You know how you circumvent those? It's super simple. You prevent them from going through the puberty that gives them those strength advantages. The puberty blockers solve the problem. That's what it does. It's also the reason why the Olympics allow trans women to compete in the Olympics so long as they've been on hormone therapy for a year, because that gives their bodies time to reverse a lot of the things, a lot of the ways that muscles distribute and fat distributes and everything else. It reverses many of those things.
Yeah.
And puberty blockers prevent those things. So I don't know if it's good enough for the Olympics, it's good enough for the fucking little leagues.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned.
100%. Like, I spent a lot of time doing a deep dive on this, like 2 years ago, with like all the I think it was around the time the Leah Thomas stuff was happening. And
how dare she get fifth, by the way? Just terrible.
Yeah. And like the overwhelming conclusion, because I went through so many different studies and I did it all on stream, and it really, the consensus is just any kind of advantage that persists after 1 to 2 years on HRT is like minimal. Like it is minimal and within the range that is expected for like cis women to exist within. Like
what was it, like it's like a 6% variance in things like muscle mass and fibers and all that. Like it's
and
6% is well within the range for all athletes.
Well, and also there are disadvantages too. Like and those disadvantages, interestingly enough, aren't like fixed by HRT, like an issue with like trans women athletes can be like blood oxygen levels, like the regulation of oxygenated blood is slightly different, but it makes like endurance sports a lot harder to excel at for trans women. Or at the very, maybe not a lot harder, but just marginally harder.
Okay.
And also, like, again, the only real point of contention that I could find from going through all these studies was, do you wait 1 year on HRT or 2 years on HRT? And that was really the main thing, like, that a lot of these studies came down on, beyond like, oh, also more data would be nice. Like that was essentially the main point of contention, not trans women shouldn't be allowed to compete in sports, but like, should they be on an HRT for 1 year or 2 year before they're allowed in, highly competitive sports?
Also, how we get more data for this is it's super easy. It's like the simplest thing in the entire world. You get more data by letting the trans women compete in the sports and then compiling the data. The best meta-analysis you can ever have is one that includes in-lab and out-of-lab studies all together. It's like the easiest thing in the fucking world to do. You just let the thing happen because it's kids. It's children's sports. It does not need to be this like powerfully regulated thing. It's fucking kids' sports. And it's not that last thing. That's Trump's thing. But
yeah, it is one of those things where like the when we're looking at sports, part of the reason there's a lack of data is because of the stigmatization of trans people. Like trans people are like, well, I want to play sports, but like, shit, I don't want to be like the subject of like an international hate mob, like I don't want to deal with someone who's salty about coming in 9th place instead of 8th place, trying to use that to spur a conservative pundit career,
And ultimately, when we're dealing with all this shit, we have to ask ourselves, what's the point? I'm kind of in the boat that the trans sports debate has been a smokescreen from the beginning. It's an easy thing that people don't research, but people care about. Everybody in America, on some level, cares about sports. And if you don't care about sports, you probably have a pretty strong opinion on not caring about sports. It's where we get terms like sports ball from. Everybody has a position where sports are concerned. So it's a thing you can wrap everybody around in. And it's simultaneously an issue that affects such a small minority of people, but importantly, when it does come into play, it always comes into play on a fucking television. It always comes into play somewhere where people are watching. This is why the Leah Thomas stuff got as big as it did. This is why that one bitch that tried to take a knee during the fencing competition ended up being a thing for the brief bit. It's something that everybody is seeing, everybody has opinions on, and not one fucking person has researched.
Yep.
And yet they have very strong opinions. That is the easiest thing in the world to get everybody on board against a minority group for.
Well, and
it's the easiest thing.
It's also worth pointing out that the person who pioneered this as a talking point is one Christopher Rufo, who is also the guy who
he's behind the CRT panic.
Yep.
There's at least 5 different conservative panics that he has engineered, and he doesn't fucking hide that fact. He has bragged on his Twitter about being the engineer behind all this shit.
Yeah, and he talks about it openly. He talks about very specifically choosing trans kids in sports because it is such an incidental non-issue, but down from that flow a lot of fundamental trans rights. You know, it is deliberately chosen to manipulate people into becoming transphobes. And people like Gavin Newsom know this, and they go down that road anyway. Like, these people aren't fools. They know who Christopher Rufo is.
It should also be noted, and this is going to sound tinfoil hatty, but I've talked about these documents on stream before, and there is an older stream where me and my friend Nick, game apologist, dude who fucking covers Sonic the Hedgehog on his channel, went through MI6 documents where they talked about getting America divided on trans issues as a wedge issue when they were investigating what Russia was trying to do to manipulate our country against itself to weaken it.
Yeah.
It sounds conspiratorial as shit until you read the documents and go, oh, that's a bad.
No, I mean, like, I think that they noticed the same thing that Christopher Rufo did, and then they fed it to their troll farms in order to, like, agitate about it. Because, like, the Republican Party in a lot of ways is aligned with the far-right agitation being spread by countries like Russia. And there are other countries that do it, too. Like, but it's all just, like, trans people. We're just the convenient wedge to try and break apart, like, people who on a lot of other civil rights issues, they'd treat it like no-brainers. But when it comes to trans people, they view us as sacrificial pawns.
It's the sad state of being an easy target. You're a minority group that is very misunderstood, and that always ends the same way. And it sucks.
It does.
And you could also be destroying a lot of lives as well. I mean, their brain isn't even fully developed.
You got, until 26 plus. Yeah, so it's even further with the brain.
Again, cars. Next.
Look, I come to this very much more open-minded than I've ever been.
Mm-hmm.
More
That's
receptive.
Not true.
Because a lot of the pushback came from folks candidly that I didn't respect, that never respected the gay community, period. Mm-hmm. There are people who are opposed to just basic rights that have been going after. So I think the natural inclination was sort of dismiss. And now I recognize more fully and deeply. And I think the sports issue really opened that door for me, the nuances in this space. That said, I'll take a backseat to no one in terms of anti-discrimination laws.
What a weak
against
man.
The community.
What a weak man.
That's where I take a backseat to no one. And I've signed some of the most progressive legislation on that, and I'm proud of that. That's who I am. Stand up for ideals and strike out against injustice. And I think it's unjust to attack vulnerable communities and discriminate against people. That said, on the issue of children, this is a tough issue. All this.
It's
not a tough issue, though. You just listen to the science. And here's the thing. With the Cass report, shit like that, Trump's version of the Cass report, the original Cass report, remember, these same debates happened in relation to, like, the tobacco and sugar lobbies. The tobacco and sugar lobbies did this same shit, paying for studies that said the things that they wanted to do. So if you want to know where those studies are going to lie, you need to follow the money behind them. That's how we figured out shit, the skeezy shit that was happening with the sugar industry when they gave the lipid hypothesis. Oh, it's trans fats that are causing everybody to be fat and obese in America. Oh, it's extra lipids in the food that are causing people to be fat in America. No, it's pumping sugar into every fucking thing, including bread. It's the fact that American bread is not legally considered bread in other countries. It's considered fucking cake. But no, you have to pretend that the culprit is elsewhere, and you have to fund studies to make that happen. The same should happen with the tobacco industry. How long were cigarettes considered a healthy thing to consume that doctors would fucking recommend? It's wild to think about that today, but doctors actively recommended nicotine through cigarettes as a treatment for things in the past.
Yep.
You should literally smoke cigarettes about it was not a fucking meme. And how does that happen? It is when lobby groups associated with those industries fund those studies every time. So when you look at things like the Cass report, okay, follow the money wherever it goes. When you look at the Trump administration's one, follow the money where it goes. With the Trump administration one, it's even more damning when you see, he's actively cutting funding to universities over and over and over again everywhere and bouncing around tariffs and just playing with fucking money where everyone's concerned. But he can definitely throw money at a report that's going to say bad shit about trans people. It's the most translucent thing on the goddamn planet.
100%.
When most of these studies we have done since the fucking 70s in regards to trans people in sports and gender affirming care and medications and surgeries have shown that when you just give that power to the doctors involved, to the trans people involved, you get better results. When you have that power in the hands of politicians who, like Gavin has pointed out, don't fucking know any better, like Gavin, who doesn't fucking know any better because he is doing the whole, I read some reports that said this, I read some reports that said this. My guy, I'm sorry that you can't, like that you never learned how to suss out data, but that's not a me fucking problem. That's a you problem. You need to sort that out. Let the doctors handle it. Let the scientists handle it. Let the people who are experts on this handle it.
But
don't read the fucking report. Get somebody who is an expert in this to sit down and explain the report to you because they have the expertise to communicate it to you.
But have you considered that instead of doing that, you could just listen to a dipshit on a podcast who doesn't know anything about it and listen to him talk about how much he supports non-discrimination laws, but he doesn't know about this thing that he hasn't bothered to read anything about. He's just a very smart man, and we should all listen to him because he's so wise and such a good leader that we should all definitely vote for in 2028. God, what a clown.
Can we just vote for AOC? She seems to actually be doing pretty well on most issues right now. I'm kind of on board with it at the moment.
Yeah, honestly, if like AOC or like Tim Walz run or something, like I'd be down.
I'd be okay with Walz, but like I'm gonna be honest, I'm kind of fucking tired of old men.
Yeah, I just think that's probably what's in the cards. I think like another old man like Tim Walz and actually Tim Walz is like 60. Like, he's actually not that old, but if
it's another old man in the cards, can we get a mulligan?
Maybe
but
one
anyway,
day.
I wanted to bring this one up because this is kind of a spring onto another conversation, and I'm gonna leave it up to Guitar Rocker if both of these are one video or if this ends up being two videos. That is up to their expertise. But I feel like Gavin Newsom with his podcast is trying to not only gain notoriety for himself, but he's kind of taken the Joe Rogan of the left idea and just ran with it. I could be wrong, but it feels very much like it's that kind of thing.
Yeah, kind of.
And I don't want that to be the case because the last person I want to be he's not even fucking left. He's a Dem. He's just a Dem.
Oh, he's Gavin Newsom.
Yes, I know he's Gavin Newsom.
Like he's not even. He's more insidious than that. He's a third way Dem. Like he was at that like goddamn third way retreat at the beginning of the year.
Oh, fun.
Where like a bunch of these centrist pieces of shit went and they released like this like short report of like, hey, if you want to appeal to conservatives, here are the things you should do in order to win them over.
That's the reason that we're okay. So there's two people running against Marjorie Taylor Greene in my district. One of them is Sean Harris. Sean Harris is doing that fucking campaign.
Yep.
He is doing you can vote for Trump and vote for me. If you voted for Trump, I want your vote. And then there's Clarence, who's just like, if you voted for Trump, I don't know why I'd be fucking talking to you.
Yeah, exactly.
Like we obviously have different values if that's the case. And we're going to stick with our values instead. Like I'm going to go with the guy who's friendly with the DSA. And that at this point, that's Clarence.
Mm-hmm. Like it's just like there is like this. And they often tend to be like a lot of the Dems in like the upper echelons of power in the party who go this third way route. And I think it's honestly because that's where a lot of the corporate money wants to lead them. You know, they're bought and paid for, and they get more conservative the more they're bought.
It's true. Zaran Joy says, I'm so sick of this appeal to the mythical moderate conservative. Well, so the thing is, there are moderate conservatives. They do exist. The problem is the moderate conservative is a voter. The moderate conservative is not a pundit. They are not a person in power in the political party. They're not any of those people. I don't want to appeal to a moderate conservative. I want to flip a moderate conservative into a leftist. That is my goal. My goal is not to get a moderate conservative to vote for a further left person. My goal is to eliminate the conservative tendencies. That's my goal.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I see Riverboat Jack just did the DSA command, show the chapter list. If you are watching this on YouTube on my channel afterwards, check the description. The DSA chapter list is also in the description of every video.
Let's go!
Terran Ambassador says the moderate conservative is a Democrat. That is also true.
I mean, like, it's just that they aren't even interested in attracting, like, moderate conservatives, really. What they're interested in is following what their consultants tell them. You know, the corporate consultants they pay millions of dollars to every year. So much money from the 2024 Kamala Harris campaign went to consultants. It's ridiculous. People still don't know where all that money went. And that's because there is a certain class of political actor in Washington, D.C. where they're like, you don't actually have to know anything about your district or your voters. Just, give us a bunch of money and we'll hand feed you all that information. And a lot of people, they're like, well, that sounds great. Less time actually having to make calls to constituents to ask for money.
Less time talking to the constituents and trying to figure out what they need.
Mm-hmm.
It's just gross.
It's so gross.
I want to just hate politics, but instead, I live in a world where I have to just participate because blood is mandatory.
Yeah, we've been cursed with too much knowledge, and at this point, we can't unknow the things we know.
Yep, it's agitating, but it is what it is.
Yep,
and we are here, and I am on the final boss of Final Fantasy III, and I am ready to hate myself.
Good luck.
I've spent this entire stream in the final dungeon.
Oh, no.
I spent the last 3 days in the final dungeon. I understand why everybody hates the Crystal Spire now. I get it. I understand. This place fucking sucks.
Rest in peace.
There's also that article for the Joe Rogan on the left thing that you send me, but I have not read it.
If you don't have the spoons for it, we can skip that. But if you do have the spoons, it is kind of funny.
Well, you know what? Let's pull that up real quick. That is here.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go. Let's go full. Let's go full speculation into Joe Rogan on the leftism. So before we read any of this, I just want to know, for your sake, Jack, what the fuck does the term Joe Rogan on the left mean to you?
I mean, honestly, I don't think that, when Democrats when a lot of these establishment Democrats talk about a Joe Rogan of the left,
mm-hmm.
I don't think what they mean is a meathead who is, kind of dumb, but generally good natured and is going to be spouting, leftist ideas and values. Cause that's just Hassan, and minus.
Yeah, you've just described Hassan Piker.
And
well, actually, hold on.
He's not dumb.
I want to offer a tiny bit of pushback on that.
Okay.
The difference between Hassan and Joe Rogan is Joe Rogan doesn't seem to have a lot of his own opinions. He mostly brings on other people to talk about shit, whereas Hassan whether you agree with his opinions or not, he brings a lot of his own opinions to the table when he's not auto playing a video on YouTube and letting his camera look at only a chair.
Yeah, part of the issue here is that what what the establishment Democrats are asking for is effectively a buff, conventionally good-looking yes man to like not push back on any of their opinions and essentially be a funnel for their corporate like politics speak. You know, like that's what they mean when they say a Joe Rogan of the left. And I just don't think that is really a thing that the base of the party wants. You know, like if they wanted that,
want a meat-headed yes man.
If they wanted that, there are already countless like Democratic podcasts where like people sycophantically agree with like the party line on from the establishment Democrats, where they will glaze Chuck Schumer for being like just a genius for, you know, playing possum
throwing
and
trans people under the bus.
Yeah, and then talk about how great it is to throw trans people under the bus, and like talk about how like no, all that APAC money isn't changing our stance at all when it comes to our foreign entanglements, and like. That's what they want. They want someone who's going to say that. And like people know that that's fake. Like they know that the mean tested bullshit that a lot of these establishment Democrats put out is fake. And it comes from a place of fear. They're all too afraid of being a real person and actually having conviction. And so like, I don't think they actually want like a Joe Rogan of the left type situation. And it's I don't know, it's interesting to see what they're trying to put together here for some of these things. Yeah,
I think for me, when I think of a Joe Rogan of the left, I'm not thinking of a person. I'm thinking more of an idea, and the idea is breaking into the mainstream and going viral. So Joe Rogan's thing is not any one thing that he does, is, or says. His thing is that he's the most popular. Like he was the most popular podcast for the longest time. And that really was it. When I think Joe Rogan of the left, I am mostly thinking successfully becoming the most popular podcast and then going from there. Like it's the underpants gnome thing. Step 1, get the Joe Rogan on the left, get the most popular podcast. Step 2, question mark. Step 3, win elections.
Well, but I think it's that. But part of the issue is that a lot of what makes conservative, you know, pundits or talking heads or podcasts go viral is the fact that they are funded by a lot of money from corporate donors, or and what would be necessary for that to be equivalent on the left would be for donors on the left to, you know, support streamers, content creators, etc. But the Democrats are way too controlling to let that happen, right? Republicans have just kind of let their base do what they want while throwing a bunch of money at content creators, right? That's how you get like, you know, Daily Wire. That's how you get, you know, PragerU. That's how you get a lot of these different figures that we all talk about on like a daily basis here. And like the Democrats are too afraid to throw that money at content creators who might, you know, have a difference of opinion from the party line, because they don't actually want to support a Joe Rogan of the left. What they want is a Joe Rogan of, you know,
of the Democratic Party line.
Yeah, or a not even a Joe Rogan of the Democratic Party line, a Joe Rogan of like, they want a third way Joe Rogan, you know? They want a neoliberal Joe Rogan. And it's they can't give up that desire to control messaging, you know? Like they've tried it with some liberal TikTokers. I'm trying to remember. They started kind of coming up during the 2024 election, like Juliana Oliveira or something like that. I don't remember her name, but like there were some content creators that like You know, they were, you know, riding hard for the Democrats, but like they were incapable of actually like bringing to bear any kind of real criticism, any kind of real constructive ideas. And like, yeah, they want to make the Pod Save America guys cool, you know? And it's just that's not really how any of this works. You can't Oh, sorry.
I think it's also the fact that like Joe Rogan is not considered a conservative. He's not the Joe Rogan of the right. He's Joe Rogan, the everyman. That's what the general thought process is on him from most people. He's not seen as a conservative. He's seen as this guy that will talk to anybody and bring anybody in. He's the average Joe, effectively. He's not, obviously. He had a fuck ton of money when he walked in, and he has more money now, but that's what he seems like. He seems like the guy you'd want to talk with at the bar. There's nothing artificial, is what it is. Joe Rogan became the conservative thought piece as a reflection for the conservatives over time, organically. We can't construct a Joe Rogan of the left without a lot of money, but even if we did, we would just end up making a fucking Brett Cooper more than anything.
Yeah.
Because that's what Brett Cooper was. Brett Cooper for the Daily Wire was like this hyper artificial, everything is created here so that we can appeal to the young horny teens who want to listen to conservative talking points. It's that bit in Family Guy where Chris joins the young Republicans and the girl is just like, if you spread all this hate messaging for me, I'll let you touch my boobs. And Chris is just like, do I want that? I don't know if I want that. And she's like, yeah, you want that. It's that. That's what Brett Cooper was.
And still,
of what you think it is,
and still is, by the way. Like her channel has like something like 2 million subscribers now. Like it's like that she launched independently of the Daily Wire.
After she broke away from the Daily Wire.
Yeah, she's still doing pretty good.
Yeah, like you would end up with a Brett Cooper situation where you create this thing and then it gains sentience and runs off on its own after a certain point. And you have to be okay with that happening, because that's what happens with Joe Rogan. He doesn't always toe a party line. I'd argue he never toes a party line. He just leans conservative with most of the guests that he brings on because people find conspiracy theories interesting, and it makes shit go viral. You bring people like Alex Jones on, everybody's going to go, oh my God, the reasonable person's talking to the guy who is completely fucking insane. Oh my God, blood sports. Like, that's what they're going to see. The thing is, the Democratic Party at large, they don't want that, because that's an uncontrollable monster. That's a nightmare. They don't. It's good that it's a nightmare, though.
They don't want someone who's going to be abrasive, who's going to have solid positions supporting like LGBTQ people, and who's going to like defend trans people. They don't want that, because that's too divisive for what, you know, the more conservative end of the Democrats actually want. So like it's kind of like a doomed project from the start. And I think it's kind of emblematic that they want to put up the former DNC chair as like maybe this guy could be the next Joe Rogan. Who gives a shit?
Let's take a look at here. Let's read through this a little bit.
If you want
the search for go on.
If you want a couple of the highlights, that the first couple paragraphs, the first few paragraphs, and then from the interview.
This isn't a very long article at all. We can just go through it.
Okay, let's go.
Like, honestly, this is itty bitty compared to some of the shit I've tried to read on this channel.
Let's do it.
Have you ever tried reading anything from God, what's his name? Chat. I need help remembering
Curtis
the name
Yarvin?
of the. What's up?
Curtis Yarvin?
No, that too. But God, what is his name? It's the guy who always advocates for conservative Christian values on his blog, and he considers himself a sexologist who can save everybody's marriage despite his his at least one time divorce status.
No, I have no idea who this is.
God, I'm trying. Why am I not able to remember this guy's name? I used to dedicate a Monday segment to reading his blog.
The conservative sexologist.
God, I can't remember. If Sarah Chikorito were in the chat, she would remember right now. Recco says Voldemort. No, it's God, hold on. I am now gonna be stuck on this if I can't remember, because the entire point of this guy's blog is to try to promote like conservative Christian values, but it always ends up in child marriage is okay and you should violently beat your wife.
Oh God.
Like that's what his shit always ends up leaning into after a while. So the easiest way I can find this is by going content, live, and then let's view the earliest streams I ever did, and we will probably be able to find them there. So 50 rows per page.
Is it called Biblical Gender Roles?
Biblical Gender Roles, that's the one. Biblical Gender Roles. I can't believe I was forgetting his name. I used to do so much content on this fucker.
God.
Yeah, I would read through all of his articles like this the entire time, because this is the voice you use when beating your wife. That's right.
Jesus Christ.
This is what God wants me to do. So God, Jeopardy says, God, I haven't heard about him in ages. I should let me show you what we would have been. Nope, shut up. I don't want to listen to you. We've already done enough, Matt Walsh. Okay, let's find his website. Where's his usual shit?
Oh my God.
Where's his usual shit? He's reformatted his website. God damn it, Larry. Why would you do this? Biblical sexology.
Oh God.
Biblical gender roles. Does he not have his blog set up anymore? Also, yeah, this shit just goes on forever. This is not how his blog used to be set up.
Oh, there's the blog though. There's a blog tab.
Blog. There we go. Okay, let's see here.
A new book.
You don't give steak to baby. Okay, now I'm just scrolling through this slowly.
Oh God.
I would dedicate an entire stream to just going through and laughing at this guy's articles.
Incredible.
So, I am okay when something is this long. Wait, which one is this one? Former chair. Yep. I am okay when something is this long, because this is nowhere near the length of one of his weird ass articles. So,
yeah.
Jesus. Access says the blog is gone. Nope. It's not. It's not gone. It's not gone. The search for a liberal Joe Rogan has led Democrats to an unlikely candidate, Jamie Harrison, the former party chair. I'm gonna be completely honest. I have no idea who the fuck this guy is.
No. We all, everyone knows and loves Jamie Harrison. It's why he's a household name. We all know who he is. You know, everyone's on the streets been talking about who this Jamie Harrison fellow. He's the new hotness. He's a real up and comer. Why, I've been on the edge of my seat waiting for Jamie Harrison's new podcast.
You're gonna make me start doing fucking streams from the gym so I can be the meathead of the
Do it. Oh God.
Okay. So Harrison will launch At Our Table on Thursday. Oh wait, hold on. Let me get this straight. So he's untested.
Yeah, he hasn't done a podcast before. I did read this prior to streaming.
Pre-reader. How dare you engage in pre-in?
But like, it's such a bad name for a podcast. At Our Table.
Have you been listening to At Our Table? No, I haven't. But I'll put my ear on it next time if I need to listen to the sound of rickety wood.
Also, there isn't a video. There isn't like a full episode of it out yet. I was really hoping there would be, but I'm going to DM you a link to the YouTube channel because there is a 40-second long teaser and it'd be fun to watch that real quick.
Yeah, you know what? I'll take it. I'll take a teaser.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Then again, like Saki's been laying next to me this whole time, so there's already a teaser pretty much right there. But,
Aw.
okay, let's take a look at this.
Welcome to At Our Table with Jamie Harrison.
Okay, his sound balancing sucks.
Also, like, I'm sorry, this is not like we're 3 seconds in, and this is not a compelling individual I would call at any point remotely close to the Joe Rogan of the left. But okay,
Here are the ground rules. This is family talk. Straight talk with leaders, activists, and friends from across the country. You know, my grandfather used to tell
I'm
me,
so glad he's got 84 subscribers. He's doing his best. Like I'm making fun of him, but I would be okay going on his show and having a conversation, because like I'm in two camps, right? I'm in camp one. That's funny. I want to make fun of it, but I'm also in camp two. But in the off chance it works, I'll do everything in my power to help.
I mean,
like I'm in both those camps.
That being said, he is the former head of the DNC, and I do not trust him.
Are you saying that we've been burned by Democrats before? That's so weird.
Yeah, I'm saying I think that he might kind of be some kind of rat fink or something. I don't know. I don't trust him.
I don't trust him, but I'd be willing to have a conversation with him if I think it would be productive.
Oh yeah, I just don't think
at that point.
I don't think he would ever want to have a conversation with me. So that's kind of where I'm coming from. But, you know, maybe if I was wrong, if he reached out, I would definitely talk. I'm happy to.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. I might even reach out to him.
Okay.
Hell, what's the worst thing that can happen? I'm actively involved in a Democratic campaign in my area. I've been involved in the Bowman campaign briefly or not the direct campaign, but canvassing for when we were all up in New York. Mm-hmm. I've got experience here in at least some variety talking about this shit on YouTube for 7 years. I probably have one or two things to say, maybe.
I mean, when I got back from college, I don't want to hear all that fancy talk. Speak it plain. What that means is I'm going to push our guests, but they're going to push me.
I feel like if you say speak it plain and then you have to follow it up with an explanation, you didn't do that.
Yeah.
I think it's okay to like say something you think is a perfectly reasonable and basic statement and then not follow it up with explanatory measures, because then people can fill in the blanks on what they think you mean, and then they can come to their own conclusions, usually in the positive when you say a positive statement, because that's kind of a basic thing about human psychology that you should probably know if you're going to be a content creator. It's like one of the main things Asmongold has been using in the negative, where he'll say, "Oh yeah, you know, Nick has been in the news. You know which Nick," and you're just like, "Man, I know you're talking about Nick Fuentes, but shut up." Like the fill in the blank thing is a pretty common psychological thing you should probably lean into more often. But okay.
Let's get to the heart of the issues. At our table, we can discuss ideas candidly. At our table, everyone is welcome. But at our table, there's no bullshit. We tell it like it is.
Why was it censored in the closed captioning?
It was too spicy. He's a no nonsense fellow, and
at our table we're gonna tell it like it is.
Yeah, and at our table we have to censor our swears.
Like I wish you the best of luck in your endeavors, and if this works, and I'd be willing to help out in every way I can. But like, at the same point, I'm not convinced from the 40-second trailer.
Yeah, it doesn't look great. Wait. I wanted to see the rest of the outro. Okay, thank you.
Talking about the outro that was specifically made in Adobe Premiere Pro and bought on Fiverr?
Yes.
Because I'm fairly certain I've seen that as a stock thing on Fiverr.
Oh, I bet it is. But is it worse than the Daily Blueprint? I genuinely can't even begin to answer that question. Are you familiar with the Daily Blueprint?
No, I'm not, but I'm ready to be informed.
Oh, God. On the official Democrat YouTube channel, they have a show called The Daily Blueprint, and it's really fucking bad.
Okay.
I just want to take a look here. Let me take a look. So the Democrats' YouTube channel, like the official YouTube channel of the Democratic Party, has 86,000 subscribers, and their Daily Blueprint videos get like 400, 1,000. Like they are not putting out content that is activating the base, we'll say. It just kind of makes me sad.
It's why you don't do. Okay, so this is the issue. This is the issue. I think you and I both can probably agree that what the right wing did is they did not create the Republican Party of blank anything.
Mm-hmm.
What they did is they took people who already wanted to do this shit organically. Your Laura Chens, your Tim Pools, your Matt Walshes, your Ben Shapiro's, and they fucking pumped money into it. If you're the one surviving Koch brother, you pumped your money into PragerU.
It's
Rest
true.
in piss. So what they've largely done is they've taken creators and given them the funding to do things that enable the party. You don't do it the other way around. You don't try to create a creator. That doesn't work. And when you do, they then get a taste of power and freedom, and then they break away, and you get Brett Cooper all over again. So if you want a successful version of this, you find, you know what you do? You find a Destiny, you find a Vosh, you find a Hassan Piker, you find somebody who is big and established, and you just jam fucking money at it.
Yep.
That's what you do. Because that's what the right did.
Yep. And the issue is they are uninterested in doing that because then they wouldn't be able to control messaging as much as they want to.
Throw that money at Secular Talk. Throw that money at Sam Cedar. Throw that money at somebody who has a proven track record of doing the thing that you're trying to get them to do. And if they go off the rails, accept that as a risk of doing business.
Yep. And like, I don't know, the Majority Report and Hassan Piker are like two platforms absolutely primed for that. Like, I don't know that like again, because they are, you know, farther left than establishment Dems want, like I don't know that they would ever touch them with that kind of support. And honestly, it would probably be pretty destructive to like the brands of both those properties, you know?
Also, Actual Jake, thank you so much for the raid. How was your stream?
Hi, Actual Jake.
We're getting corned on while talking about the Joe Rogan of the left-ism meme.
Cornhole.
I like corn. It has the juice. It has the juice.
God.
Paige Wilders is corn. Yeah, we love cornholio here. We also need TP for our bunghole. Axo says Jake and Jack in one stream. Well, technically, it's Jake's audience. I'm sure Jake has gone to take a shit and get high. That is probably at the same time, honestly. I mean, we all have our vices, and that's a perfectly reasonable one in today's everything. Oh, Jasta says he was already high. You mean more high? Look, I cannot fault a man for engaging in the pure euphoria that is vacating one's bowels while also taking a drag. I can't even fault somebody for making that decision. If he were to make that decision, I have no evidence that he is making that decision. But in a world where he was, can you imagine the Ethan Klein head explosion if the DNC backed Hassan?
Oh, he would turn into like a black hole. He'd implode.
Of course, the DNC would never back Hassan because the DNC is largely okay with the genocide of Palestinians, as they've made quite evident.
Yep.
So, you know. Aquaball says, smoking and shitting. I am somehow reminded of the weird VTuber era where you would just ask random VTuber women, "Do you shit and or fard?" Weird times. I don't like the timeline we're in. Anyway, as a quote that Harrison told Semaphore this week said, "Civic education in America is at an all-time low." Yeah, you're right. It's largely because we're not funding our public education very well, like at all. Yeah, that's the problem. It's really important to start educating people about these processes that are so important in terms of determining who our leaders will be. It's not that I disagree, but like that's not the same thing as doing the Joe Rogan thing, because Joe Rogan doesn't think of himself as an educator. He doesn't put himself up to be an educator. It literally is, here's this dumb guy who gets high and talks to other people about shit they care about, and then asks Jamie to Google things for him. Like that's what Joe Rogan's show is.
Also, like, nothing about Jamie Harrison's show has indicated that it's at all about teaching people civics.
No, it's about we're gonna have candid conversations at our table. Oh, okay. That's different than education. That's just talking. And like, that's not saying talking can't educate people. It certainly can, but that's not what you seem to have set out to do. But that's what you're telling people you set out to do. See, the first episodes of At Our Table put Harrison next to 2024 Vice President nominee Tim Walz, Wes Moore, and James Clyburn, and Hunter Biden.
Yep.
So his first episode is not going to be with any one person. It's going to be with like 4 other people who all have fucking power.
No, the first episodes. So those are like the guest lineup for the launch of this podcast.
Okay. I mean, it's cool that Tim Walz and Hunter Biden are going to be on here. It's weird that the only people he could talk to for his candid conversation about educating people on things that are important, ostensibly the everymen who need to be educated on these things, the only people he's talking about are like established democratic powers.
Oh yeah,
with the exception of Hunter Biden, but that's a JFK situation.
But also, like, the thing is, if you wanted to actually try and build like a Joe Rogan, even for like the neoliberal left, what you would have to do is you'd have to have on people that like normal folks are interested in listening to. Like, I don't know how many like normies are actually all that interested in what the Maryland governor has to say or what James Clyburn has to say. Like, if you are not like politically brain poisoned, which is ostensibly like you want to go after those people, if you want a Joe Rogan of the left situation, or even just like an influential podcast situation, like you'd want to like I don't know, have what's that guy's name? He does the show Star Talk. He has like a little mustache. He talks about space. You know who I'm talking about, right?
Oh, Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Neil deGrasse Tyson. Yeah, you have him on. Have like, I don't know, like an archaeologist who specializes in Incan tombs. You know, like how you would want to have like just like out of left field topics to throw in there, because like normal people love hearing about shit like that.
That's the reason that Joe Rogan fans tend to also be good with Bernie Sanders without knowing jack shit about any of his policies, is because Joe Rogan has had Bernie Sanders on his show, despite the fact that we on the left look at Joe Rogan as a guy who largely amplifies conservative voices. But when he brings in people like Bernie to talk to, you get people to go, you know, the Dems are all corrupt, but Bernie's kind of all right, because they've had a fucking chance to listen to Bernie. That's what you do. You're right. You get a bunch. You know what? I'm gonna explain this in a way that I think Dems can understand. You get Chat GPT.
Oh no.
To tell you who the most popular trending people are right now. And your first few shows should not be with Tim Walz and James Clyburn. Your first shows should be with whoever the fuck that thing spits out.
You know, by the way, that this is 1000% what Democrats would do. Like that's 1000%. If they were taking like this Joe Rogan of the left thing seriously, that is 1000% what they would do.
That's why I'm explaining it in the Paige Wilder says, why not Google Trends? Because Google Trends is something that you have to actually look into. You have to look at data. I am giving them a foolproof, zero work, zero effort, zero investment solution that I do not trust at all, but will still yield better results than what they're doing.
Yeah, and also you have to get into the mind of the neoliberal within the Democratic Party. They don't want to spend time thinking and looking at trends when they have the super powered tech bro device in their hands that they can just ask any question and it will give them information that is unambiguously true, never fact check it once ever. And it's the new super tech taking over everything. It's going to revolutionize the world. Just don't look at it about any mistakes or possible holes in your brain or, anything it might do to atrophy your thought process or, make you think that you're a god.
That shit is wild, by the way. Like, I'm okay with using large language models for things that they are good for, as long as you can use them ethically. Like, obviously, don't fucking use them to write your essay. Don't fucking use them to generate an image for you that an artist should be making, because art is a goddamn human expression that is largely unique to us. And we should keep it that way. That's a thing that we should continue to do. But, like, let's say that you're tagging a video on YouTube. Probably one of the best tools you have is just getting a large language model to tag the video. You're just doing manual data scraping at that point anyway. And honestly, that's not part of your fucking creative process. Tagging your video is a thing that was imposed on you by Google. That's not part of your creative process, I promise you.
Like, I just want people to understand that, like, you shouldn't even, like, talk to these chatbots. Like,
no.
There is now, like, an epidemic of, like, people who talk to these chatbots so long that they, like, become convinced that they themselves have become new gods, or that they awoke sentience within the AI. I watched a clip the other day on my show about with the founder of Uber, talking about how he gets up at like 4:00 in the morning and just spends hours talking with his chat GPT or Grok.
Why would you not talk with fucking people?
But because he likes talking with it so that he can, I don't know, go down and he says this, he talks about going down a rabbit hole with quantum physics. And like he like prods the edges of what is known about quantum physics, and he's almost made a few breakthroughs. And I cannot stress enough that the co-founder of Uber doesn't have any educational background in quantum physics and has no idea what the fuck he's talking about. And it's just like this stuff is like killing people on a fundamental level, and I don't think people realize it yet.
You mentioned the causing holes in the brain. That's something we've actually been seeing a lot of studies come out showing that people who engage with generative AI a lot, their ability to think about things does just kind of atrophy. I was talking about this with a friend of mine, a director for the game that I voiced in. And our conversation was about like what are the actual ethical uses of large language models, what things can be done, because the right wing is capitalizing on this technology all the goddamn time, and they're using it to get edges in, again, the areas that are not part of our creative processes, search engine optimization, largely. They're using this technology to help them in those regards. What are the ethical ways that we can use the weapons of our enemy? And a point was given to me, which I largely agree with. AI makes people who are bad at something, good at something very quickly, but then they never improve past that point. Whereas learning a skill makes somebody good at something very slowly, but then they can continue to get better and better and better and better and better and better at it far better than that large language model is ever going to be able to fucking be.
And honestly, I don't even know that it makes people good at anything really quickly. Like I don't see the utility in it. It's wrong so often. It's crazy. It like literally lies to you.
So as an example, let's say that you're learning coding and you use a large language model to produce code. And that code works. Say that it works. It doesn't always, but it works. You've now produced something faster than you would have before in the 1 in 10 chance that it actually gets the code right. However, have you learned anything about commenting? Have you learned anything about making sure that your code is going to be able to function with other codes in a website or in any language that you're writing? You haven't learned any of that stuff, but you've gotten, quote, you've gotten good. You've produced a thing, a thing very quickly, but you've not learned a skill. You've not gained a skill. You've just managed to get a thing produced quickly. I think that's probably closer to what I would mean. It makes you better at producing something faster, but you don't necessarily gain the skill to produce it. So somebody who has that skill is going to always be 12 bajillion times better than you. You're marginally better than you were before you started, but you're not actually better at a thing.
I mean, like, I think the issue is that you need to know enough to be able to check your work. And at a certain point, if you're getting something to code for you rather than just typing it yourself, you're just duplicating the effort. That's kind of my thing. Like, if you, like, for example, you have ChatGPT write an essay, you need to know enough about what you are supposed to be writing about so you can fact check that it doesn't just lie or add crazy shit in there. And it kind of applies
AI
to that.
Hallucinations is a real thing.
Yeah, and also, like, with coding, like, you need to know what the fuck you're doing if it's going to be at all useful to anyone, or if it's going to, like, lock into anything. You need to be able to, like, check that shit for being able to work. And it just, I don't think the burden of checking it is worth, like, the actual. I don't know. Like, there's, like, an entire, like, blowback now of, like, companies having to rehire for positions they fired in order to replace with AI because the AI is just not reliable enough.
Well, again, that's the thing with, you can get one idiot to produce 10 programs using AI, and that's going to seem like they're doing really well. But it's a Warlock's Faustian bargain. You haven't, like, okay, you're familiar with RPG tropes.
Mm-hmm.
It's the Warlock versus the Wizard. How does a Warlock get his power? They ask a demon, they get some power in a deal, but that deal usually always comes at some great cost. How does a Wizard get its power? They study, they learn, they get all this kind of stuff. In the upper echelons of power in most RPGs, the Wizard can eventually get world-ending abilities, and the Warlock has to ask pretty please and then bend over backwards to maybe get a little, like, an ounce more power than he had at the beginning.
Yeah,
unless you're playing specifically an RPG game where there's a leveling system and therefore you have to gamify that bit. Generally speaking, the Warlock gets power very quickly, and then it undoes them. The Wizard gets power very slowly, but they end up far more powerful than the Warlock could ask for. That's what the ChatGPT thing is to me. There's the Warlock that wants to do none of the work and get everything done very, very quickly, and they're using the large language models for that. And then there's the people who are willing to put in the work, willing to learn, willing to get a skill, and they're always going to be able to produce better and more over time.
But that is all dependent on the AI being able to actually create something that works. And for the vast majority of cases, like, it can't. Like, it can create something that might work in isolation, but, like, we're never really coding something just in isolation. It's always going to be, like, locked into other things. And, like, if you don't know what you're doing and need to, like, check it for errors all the time, like, you gotta like, you're better off just coding it from scratch.
You're gonna have to know enough about coding to begin with in order to do that.
Yeah.
No, and I can agree with that. I can agree with that.
It just seems like it, especially when you then start taking into account, like, these things, like, will make up shit about history, or make up citations, and then you add that into,
or they'll call themselves Mecha Hitler.
yeah, and then you add that into like how they are like formulating like their code. Like I feel like the issue compounds itself because like if an AI makes a mistake in writing an essay, like,
and now that's the essay that the AI is going to be scraping in the future. You've now polluted you've now polluted what's actually available there. We've actually seen that as well from the generative image AIs. Have you noticed that when people have been generating images lately with AI, there's like this brown grain that is consistent in a lot of the generation, and it gets worse and worse over time because the AI keeps scraping the same fucking images over and over again. And because those images can be produced so quickly with generative AI, there's more of it in the wild for AI to scrape.
Yeah, it just like that's why warlocks blow up occasionally. I think yeah.
The warlock got in a large language model to give them their power, and they exploded.
Yeah, and it's just like I think that there's I just don't see utility when there are people who have the skill sets to do this already. I just don't like if you need to constantly be looking over your shoulder to check that this thing isn't going to like completely fuck you. I don't think it's worth it.
I can understand that. I will say, outside of coding, which can have some use cases, there is one large use case for it that actually has been proven. Things like DNA sequencing.
Yeah.
When we are trying to do like a repetitive task like that a billion times very quickly, like machine learning in general, is a very wonderful tool for stuff like that.
Absolutely.
It is a technology. It's a technology that has use cases. The problem is not that the technology exists at all. The problem is that we live in a world right now where people like Elon Musk turn it into fucking AI girlfriends and try to treat it as a one-stop shop for everyone, for all of their information. The worst meme on the goddamn internet right now is Grok context.
What is that?
Wait, you don't.
Wait. No. Is that them asking like Grok, what's the context for this?
For everything.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, I've seen that.
Never asking real people, never having a conversation with a person. It's always Grok context.
Well, it's because again, these
Grok context.
These AI chatbots are built to flatter fragile people's egos, and like that is a dangerous slope when you put someone with an ego that fragile in a room with something that is built only to flatter them. It's what leads them to like having mental breakdowns or like leaving their actual flesh and blood families to like just fixate on this AI. Like it breaks people's brains. It's hard for us to not like impose human traits on something that is wielding language, but I think that I find it particularly insidious. I hate it so much.
I definitely wish we lived in a world that does not have it. I also feel like as a tool, it is something that is being wielded by our enemies, and until we get to the point where that tool consistently implodes on them, as opposed to us just having a handful of instances where it does, like the Mike Lindell case where briefs were written in AI, and that's not a thing you fucking do. Until that is happening all the time, finding ways to leverage the weapon of our enemies, I think is still an okay thing to do.
Oh, yeah, I'm okay with it being used to like fuck up tip lines.
Absolutely.
Like,
have your AI generate like 12 billion different things to report. Like, I think there's an illegal immigrant family over on Weston Chandler in Chattahoochee.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what that place is, but you're definitely reading it, wasting your time.
Like, I'm okay with it being weaponized against the people who want to use it to control and destroy us. I'm fine with that.
That's where I'm okay with. Like, you use it as a tool to undo the people who have tried to use it as a tool to undo us.
Yeah.
But that usually means we're going to have to find other, like you mentioned, using it to flood tip lines. That means we're going to have to use it in ways that are very, very different from the ways that it was intended to be used by the people who built it. Honestly, trying to treat it as a fucking one-stop shop to all the information in the world is the absolute worst use case of all time.
Mm-hmm.
And yet that is the one that most people seem to gravitate towards more than anything.
Yep. Oh God. I see you scroll down to the part where Jamie Harris said, I had to remember his goddamn name. We were talking about it like 5 minutes ago.
Because we forgot who he is that quickly.
The part here, this and the next question were like the most interesting parts of this for me. God.
Let's see here. I got a chance to get to know Hunter a lot over the last 4 years. I don't know if you remember, but back in the day when I was South Carolina Democratic Party chair, I had this little series called Chair Chats. No, I don't.
No one remembers that.
I don't remember that. In Chair Chats, we talked about moving past caricatures. And in many ways, I think Hunter Biden has become a caricature in politics. Yeah, that's true. A lot of people don't know how smart he is. Don't know his background. Don't know the stuff he's worked on. Am I doing the South Carolina accent justice, or am I just being very, very mean?
I think you're doing great.
They only know what either his allies or his enemies have put out there, and he's been defined. I just realized that I sound like a bad used car salesman from the South. That's what this voice is. That's what this is. This baby can fit so many of my lies in it.
Also, just no. The only thing anyone knows about Hunter Biden these days is that he has a ginormous penis.
Laptop. Well, the only reason we know he has a ginormous penis is because my representative thought it was a good idea to show porn in the congressional floor.
Yep. Again, I don't like all of the attempts to sink Hunter Biden. It's just like, y'all are insecure about his dick size.
But he's got a bigger dick than you.
Yeah.
But he's got a bigger dick than you. Like that's what you're upset about. That's why none of you want the government to fund phalloplasty. You're upset that trans girls got it first. Or sorry, trans men got it first in that case. I mean, there might be some trans women who go for phalloplasty. They're just like, you know what? Everything up here, fine. Everything down there, horsecock. There's probably at least a few people.
Oh shit. I just want to share this from one of my chats. My department invested in an AI-powered CT scan machine, which can report the images within few minutes of the scan. During the trial run, it marked both kidneys as malignancies. Hot damn.
It's not a good use case for the fucking tech. This is like... Do you remember when the blockchain was the talk of the town for everybody?
I do.
There's a tech that I can't find a single fucking use case for. I can't. I just can't. What is the point of burning down the Amazon rainforest to do high-level calculus to produce a number?
Yeah, I don't know.
Just...
Okay, but remember when VR was all the rage? But VR was actually fun. VR was actually kind of cool. Beat Saber slapped.
I used my VR headset twice.
I really liked Beat Saber. It was fun to bounce around.
As your Kingdom Hearts boy says, until we got to VR chat. Okay, VR chat. There was a dark moment in my life where VR chat was some of the only human exposure I got because I didn't know anybody around me. So I would spend like 3 to 4 hours a day on VR chat, and then I landed a job through VR chat.
Oh hell yeah!
Not really.
Oh,
it was voicing over one of those like top 10 YouTube channels, like top 10 things that Dude Perfect did and shit, stuff that I just did not care about. But I got paid like $7 to $10 per script I read, so I was largely okay with it. It meant I had to do every single video like this, which gets really grating after a while.
I bet.
But it still feels weird to say I did VR chat and it landed me a job. And then years later, the guy who I worked for started going off the rails about how Mr. Beast was trying to hunt and kill him.
Okay.
The internet's a weird place. The internet's a very weird place.
You know, out of all the people I have heard of and who are celebrities, I I would believe that Mr. Beast would play a real life version of the most dangerous game.
Avocado Animation's video on Mr. Beast is still or his video series on Mr. Beast is still one of the best things on the internet. I tried to get 1,000 people sight again, but that was lame. So now I'm gonna blind 1,000 people.
Did you ever see the Dropout TV the Make Some Noise episode about Mr. Beast? There's like a bit about Mr. Beast and bear fucking.
No, I did not.
It's just I gave 10 people $2 million to watch me fuck a bear, and it's just like different scenarios of diminishing returns for people being paid to watch Mr. Beast do things with various animals, and it's very funny.
Jesus Christ.
I got 100 people to get into a submersible to go deep under the ocean to watch me fuck a squid. It's just
Jimmy, I don't think you should be doing this, Jimmy.
All right.
Well, yeah. I beat the Cloud of Darkness in Final Fantasy III, so now I've got that childhood monkey off of my back.
Oh, hell yeah. Congrats.
Yay. It was weird that I was able to autopilot that fight that's supposed to be so goddamn hard. I died once and it figured out the boss's pattern and said, oh, okay, it just casts one spell. Neat.
Da-na-na-na-na-na-na-na.
It just casts Particle Beam and it does like 1,500 damage to the whole party, so you just cast Kiraja on the whole party. And you do nothing but that. You just do that over and over again, and the boss dies. That was difficult. Colin, I paid 3 dudes $5 to watch me jork it. Recco, thank you for subscribing. I appreciate it. Jesse, we need to get the squid, Jesse.
Oh God.
I think we're done with this thing.
No, there's one more part. You were right on it. The follow up to the Hunter Biden, the next part.
There we okay. Go. The Democrats now.
Nope.
Oh, is this one right here?
Yeah, there you go.
Hunter Biden says in the interview is that Democrats lost the election because we did not remain loyal to the leader of the party. Who the fuck is the leader of the party of the Democrats? Who's the leader? Is it the DNC chair? Is it Joe Biden? Is it Kamala Harris?
Yep. All of the above.
Who's the fucking leader?
All of them. They're all leaders.
With all of my hate, that lack of loyalty is the reason why you see people wavering within the base.
Yep.
No, there's nobody to be loyal to.
Well, that's the thing. It's the treatment that loyalty is expected without being earned. You know, like none of us know who Jamie Harrison is. What has Jamie Harrison ever done for like the people of the United States? I have no fucking idea. Like what loyalty was earned here when you have like from trans people, when you have like Democratic politicians talking about like throwing trans people under the bus. You know, like Joe Biden saw us. He didn't do shit for us though. Like, congrats. Plenty of people see us. Thanks.
He did one thing. He did disable the trans military ban, which
that's true.
Which is one of the fastest ways to get HRT and most reliable ways to get affordable HRT for many people in the United States. And it's one of the reasons why there's a higher representation per capita of trans people in the military than there are of cis people. It's one of the easiest paths to HRT. So like that is one thing he did, and I am willing to say that is one thing I'm okay with him doing. There.
I mean, it's just such a low bar to like return to the status quo from pre-Trump. You know?
But don't you remember that Harry Potter Harry Potter is the liberal manifesto, and I'm not even saying that as a goddamn joke. What is the story of Harry Potter? It is one kid entering into a world, getting power, recognizing that the status quo is being disrupted, and returning the world back to the status quo.
And
that's the story of Harry Potter, and becoming a cop. Like that's the story of Harry Potter. He becomes a cop and he returns the world to a status quo.
And don't forget. Then I think in the Fantastic Beasts movie, it's implied that the wizard version of Super Hitler was actually trying to stop the Holocaust. That was the thing that J.K. Rowling did. Yeah.
Life's great.
Yep.
Life's fantastic. So no, that's when I say that I've seen the memes of like Harry Potter's the liberal manifesto, but it never clicked to me until like a year ago. I was like, oh, this is the story of one guy becoming a super cop and taking the world back to the status quo. Like that's what the story is. Oh, okay. Yeah, no, that's the liberal manifesto. Wasn't the world better a week ago? Let's go back to a week ago, whereas the conservatives are, wasn't the world better 50 years ago? Let's go back to 50 years ago.
Given this,
neither of them can conceptualize a better world in general. They just conceptualize the world they lived in a little while ago.
Given the fact that there's some speculation that the growing black mold on J.K. Rowling's walls may have influenced her writing of these books, maybe through a different lens, one could interpret it as the story of fungal growth being able to articulate itself for the first time. You know?
So it's just that one episode of Love, Death, and Robots where the yogurt bargains to take over Ohio.
I've never seen Love, Death, and Robots. That sounds really badass. I like it. I have no idea what you're talking about, but the sentence you just said was so utterly insane that I love it.
You should watch Love, Death, and Robots. You would really enjoy it.
Okay. Every
episode is an isolated commentary on something.
Hell yeah.
And the yogurt one was if memory serves, the yogurt one is basically a commentary on automation and AI. That's what it is. Could J.K. Rowling and Asmongold be part of this one contiguous organism?
That's what I'm saying.
It reaches over the pond and it just goes, I need him to lose a tooth. I need him to hate the taste of water. And he needs to let people get him gear in World of Warcraft to become popular.
Look, all I'm saying is that slime mold is suspiciously intelligent. You cannot kill me in any way that matters.
Mycelium Asmongold Rowling. Asmonmold. Is Penguin Zero the penicillin then? Oh, Charlie? I find him far better than Asmongold, but there are some takes of his that I really dislike.
I don't know why
people still find him far better than Charlie.
I don't know why people put these content creators on intellectual pedestals. Like I don't understand why go to these people for your political takes. It's like going to the bakery and asking for can you buy like the latest equipment from Radio Shack there?
Can you? But hold on, if you're going to the bakery, you need to go to the bakery like JD Vance did. Hey, can I get a donut? I don't know, the flavor that everybody likes.
How long have you
been working here?
Well, standing 10 feet away from the counter.
How long have you been working here? Okay, good. What's your name? Okay, good. For a fucking week, I couldn't stop saying okay, good in his cadence.
He did sound like the kind of guy who is trying to lure one of those employees into a van. You know, like...
Are you saying that JD Vance is a skinwalker?
Kind of, yeah.
Hello, Earthanoid. What flavors of donut do you depart with?
You have all these attractive cushions laying around, not being put to use.
Okay, good.
Oh, God.
Jet says, stop being so entertaining. Yeah, you can go to bed. Okay, good. Paige says, I can only think of one instance where Charlie is a bad take. So my instance of his bad take, and I haven't seen everything he's done, but the one bad take from him that I took umbrage with was when he was on his like get politics out of video games rant. And I'm just sitting there going, there has never been a point in time ever where politics have not been a part of video games. You cannot isolate a moment in history where that was not the case, where they were either not part of the development of video games or part of the story of video games. The fucking politics behind how Tetris came to America, the fucking history behind how Tennis for Two versus Pong versus some other third idea award for what was going to be the technical first video game that we all used as our like nomenclature for first video game. All of that is undoubtedly the same conversation as we would have in politics. Like, that's all politics in video games. That's not to even include the actual stories in the video games. Why is Bowser kidnapping Peach besides the fact that he loves her? That feels like something that would destabilize a monarchy. That's politics. Metal Gear Solid, there's no way you can't talk about that and not talk about politics. Half the Final Fantasies
fucking Missile Command.
Yeah, Missile Command, like half the Final Fantasies are about overthrowing a government or a usurper to a throne. And that's all politics. Like, I'm sorry, but
I don't know.
That's
like,
why
you can't even make the argument like don't put blatant propaganda in games, because like I don't know, in the Mario games you're literally curb stomping a monarchy. Like I just
on behalf of another monarchy.
Yeah, on behalf of another monarchy. You're basically a mercenary for hire. You're a plumber.
Like, you can find instances of video games that don't have a political message or don't have a political history. You can do that. But the fact is, video games as a whole, as a cultural icon, have had political involvement from the beginning till now. And I say this with full confidence because the project I dedicated my entire senior year to in high school was on the history of video games. I had to build a website on any topic that I wanted, and then I had to present the website as if I was giving it to an investor, because I was in the Academy of Information Technology class for my high school. So I did history of video games from the fallout of the Tennis for Two versus the Pong versus other arguments, going all the way into the modern day, dealing with the Jack Thompson incidents during the Grand Theft Auto saga, for anybody who remembers him before he got disbarred. Like, there has never been a point in time. There has never been a point in time where we have had a political video gamescape.
Wait a minute. Have you considered, when someone is saying a game is political, that it's gay people they're talking about? Or women?
Have you considered that actually we should be blaming id Software for the Columbine shootings?
You know what?
Because they created replicas of their school in the Doom engine to practice for shooting up their school. So video games cause violence,
and that's not political.
Not at all. No.
It's
Paige says, wasn't it a myth? It doesn't matter. The conversation is about it being part of our cultural mythos and our cultural story around video games.
Also,
and
like,
therefore,
also, like, there are like games that have like recreated like mass shootings, or like done like recreate political assassinations for fun. Like that's something that games do.
Like Call of Duty Modern Warfare in one of the most famous missions of the entire franchise, the sniper mission. Like that one.
Or like there's a particularly infamous like Flash game called like Super Columbine Massacre. Like I don't know, like people make shit like that.
Yeah, but don't worry. Get the politics out of games. I don't even know what the fuck that means, but get the politics out of games.
Oh well, yeah. Get the women and gays out of games. There we go. Problem solved. All video games will just be buff dudes flexing at each other, and that's not political at all.
There's nothing. There's, again, like the moment in the Dresden Files where Dresden is talking to the Merlin. I didn't intend for that to come off as homoerotic as I did. That's the only thing that would ever be allowed to be said by any of those buff dudes flexing at each other. Didn't mean it to be gay, bro. That's okay, bro. It's not gay, bro. Can I suck your dick, but not in a gay way, bro? That's all it would be.
Yep.
Jassa says, "Oh, but Cirrus, Papers, Please has no politics in it." You're right. Papers, Please, noted apolitical game. It's not a story of any historical event that happened ever. Exactly. Necrochild says, "What is Tristan Burrs going on about it?" Oh, I am convinced that when we had our conversation on large language models and AI bots, that one of them manifested themselves into the chat, and they've just been spouting random nonsense for the past 10 minutes. That's what I'm assuming Tristan Burrs is. I believe that we spoke the devil into existence. The fact that I think there are some use cases for LLMs does not mean that I want one of them in my chat randomly screaming. I'm sorry. You can go away now. Now that it's been mentioned, can Amon deal with it? Well, the thing is, they haven't done anything. Like,
sometimes
just said random shit.
Sometimes there are just people in my chat who say random shit, and I'm like, I don't understand a goddamn lick of that, but you are seeming to be actively malicious. So
yeah, like that's just, it's okay for them to just scream their head off for no reason, because that's just engagement for both me and Jack at the same time. That's okay.
You have
Harold
the right
Brown,
to post random shit if you want to.
Harold Brown or Harold Elbowman finished the quote for the Harry Dresden book, balls. Vice. The fact that somebody asked me, like, I've gone through the books and I don't remember that moment. This was yesterday. Somebody was like, I don't remember that moment. Can you tell me the exact book this happened in? And I'm just like, yeah, I can direct you to Harry Dresden telling the Merlin he didn't mean to get so homoerotic with him. I can direct you to that moment in the books again, because that's the one me and Saki are on right now.
Oh, you beautiful babies. No, none of you did anything wrong. You're all wonderful.
Every one of you is great unless you have low self-esteem, in which case you're more than great. You're awesome. Unless that self-esteem is well-deserved, in which case I don't know where to go with this. Seek therapy.
All right. I think we're done with this article.
I think we are. I think we've milked about as much of this as Jordan Peterson will let us.
The milkman cometh.
Riverboat Jack is coming to town. All the viewers gather round. Twitch and YouTube and swishy streams. All that content is bursting the seams. Politics, being flame more. Your sense of fashion you'll adore. So grab your stuff and hop aboard. We're going straight to Jack's Discord. Riverboat Jack.